And I apologize, I've got some notes that I'm going to speak from because I've been dealing with lots of stuff over the past weekend here, and I want to try to make sure that I stay on point. But before a couple of things I want to say just to preface talking about some of the issues that we've invited in here. And I first want to say that when people think of security manager, they tend to sort of connotate a certain type of person. I want to tell you a little bit about myself and the values in which I come from and try to bring to the position in terms of parks. First and foremost, I used to be a resident of this neighborhood. My daughter grew up in this neighborhood. My daughter went to Buckman Elementary School. I lived on 20th and Taylor for 7 years. I have lots of fond memories of taking my daughter on the swings, of playing basketball, of taking her to when we used to have the wading pool there. And so Colonel Summers has a particular special place. I'm originally from San Francisco, born in Haight-Ashbury, born to flower parents, and so Colonel Summers is like home to me in terms of where I come from in terms of San Francisco. So I think that what was important to me was that as I took on this position a couple of years ago, I came to Elizabeth about 6 months ago and I said, I think the challenges that we see in Colonel Summers are going to really require us as parks and me as a security manager really to try to engage the community. And when Elizabeth talked about what safety looks like and people talk about it, for me what it looks like is connection. It looks like connection between groups of people and those groups of people coming together and collectively coming together to solve the issues. Because as a park ranger, manager, or security manager, what I will tell you is this. One, to the extent that we don't have park rangers in the park, that's a good thing. Because what it says is that the community in and of itself has a sense of order or control or all those words that we use to talk about safety. So that's my goal. My goal was we need to engage the community, the residents, the broader community, and I started out on some conversations with folks, Susan being one from the Neighborhood Association and other folks, to say, here's the issues that we have at hand that we're really trying to solve. I was asked 2 years ago, some before last, by the Portland Police Bureau if our park rangers could be present in the park for a couple of reasons. One, the police had been receiving a number of calls over a period of time about concerns that were happening in the park throughout the day. Yeah, nighttime becomes a pretty scary time, but the concerns were pretty consistent over time, and they touched on a couple of issues. One had to be the overall vandalism and just the care of the park. Second had to do sort of the people who were hanging out in the park and seemed to be taking over were a mix of young people, maybe some transitory people, but engaged in a lot of drug use. Regardless of who they were, there was lots of drug activity, lots of fights that were occurring as a result of that, and intimidation that was happening. The police also talked to me about this Monday Fun Day. Now, my frame of lens, when I lived here from 90 to 96, is like, well, what is Monday Fun Day? Okay, we didn't have Monday Fun Day when my daughter grew up in the park. And so they said, if you could have rangers on Monday night, that would be great. And what I saw was a lot of activity, just a lot of organic activity happening in the park. Lots of 20 and 30-year-olds. In fact, what I said is it's kind of, in some ways, it seemed like Colonel Summers has sort of turned into the pickup place for a lot of 20 and 30-year-olds to just come and hang out and socialize. So a lot of 20, 30-year-olds, a lot of people engaged in a lot of positive activity. The things that concerned me that I saw were a lot of underage drinking, a lot of young people who were coming, and as I initially there and talking to a lot of young people, is that, yeah, Colonel Summers has sort of got this reputation that if I'm under the age of 21, I can go and I can mingle with folks who are older, and it's a place where I can, sort of be anonymous, if you will, and, get people to buy alcohol for me or engage in drug use. And so when we initially were in the park, What we also saw was, yeah, there was a group of folks who were engaged in a lot of illicit activity around the stairs, and there seemed to be sort of a little ant trail that would go to and from the park, where not only just folks kind of trying to enter the park, but it became sort of a safe haven, talking to some of the immediate neighbors about the impact that it was having on them. So in talking with the police, part of the issue that the police really shared was they were receiving a lot of calls, and because of the lack of resources weren't able to provide enough patrols, and could we provide a presence in the park that could begin to start to provide a sense of safety and security. Now what I will tell you is that as a program, our park ranger program has historically been a seasonal program. We hire folks from the community. We try to provide them with extensive training, but they come from a wide variety of backgrounds. I have folks who, ex-publisher who, for a publishing company. Folks who have a variety of backgrounds, and our focus really is to train them on really doing three things. One is to make a connection. It's a connection with you, to give you a face and a way to the Parks Bureau around the positive things that you're seeing in your park, the things that we need to tend to, and how we can work with our counterparts in maintenance to try to resolve those issues. Two, to be problem solvers. One of the things I'm very proud of the Park Ranger program is the work of our rangers, Katie Gribben, who goes every Thursday night to the homeless feed down underneath the Burnside Bridge and collected tons of clothes and shoes and really connected with a lot of homeless folks to try to get them resources out on the street when it's cold, in the wintertime. And her efforts were recognized by Director Abadi as being things that, as parks, but not only city employees, that we have to understand that those are human beings that are in our parks. And yeah, we have rules, but more importantly, we have an obligation to try to meet those. And then the third thing is that, yes, we do enforce park rules. That is what we're charged with. Under city code, under Title 20, park rangers do have a responsibility to ensure that we're educating people about the rules of park and that we're making sure that people are compliant. Since the time that we've been there, I think we've seen a decrease, and we have back here Lieutenant Fort from the Police Bureau who can talk to you, afterwards about the reduction in calls for service that they've seen to the police in terms of the number of concerns. Is there a lot of room for improvement? Absolutely. What I'm most excited about is all the people in this room. And I see residents, and I see neighbors, and I see Food Not Bombs, and I see folks that have a lot of energy and passion. And to the extent that we can work together, okay, to, look at how we can improve as a program, but most importantly, really to understand that, we not only had to write an exclusion to a 13-year-old girl who was buying alcohol from a transient person, okay, that we had to call her mom and say, you need to come get her. This is not the place for a 13-year-old girl to be. That's what I'm overall concerned about. And the things that we're talking about tonight really have to do with how the physical space can help bring and attract people and give a sense of the park is not being a safe haven for needles and all the things that get hidden in the bushes and all the feces and urine that's within that park. And Betsy Redfern's here, and the other group that I want to say that I want you to consider that's not here tonight are the park workers that go in that park every day. Every day, making sure that they're trying to clean up that trash, making sure that they're trying to get hypodermic needles out of the park so that you can, or we can, bring our children to that park. And so I wanted to share that perspective with you because tonight I want to listen. I want to listen to the ideas and the thoughts you have about the physical improvements. I want to sit and listen about how we can improve as a ranger program and what we can do as parks to really sort of advocate that part of it. So I'll turn it back over to you.
Court an opportunity to speak to you? Is that anything? And I think.
Well,
Well, you know, first of all, I want to say thanks for those who appreciate us, and some do and some don't. You know, it's I've been a police officer here for 22 years almost, and I've seen a lot of differences in the way we police things. It is significantly different and better now, I think, than it was when I first started. Again, contrary to potentially some popular belief. We are here specifically to hear all of you. We've heard from some of you about what you want us to police. There's all kinds of laws, and you can say that it's you know, it's not lawful for vehicles in the park. It's also not lawful to drink, not lawful to do drugs. It's not lawful to do all kinds of things. Some things are policed more. Some things are more important to you all for us to police, and some are not. That's what we're here to listen to hear what you want us to police. We work for you. We know that. Very much aware of that. But we work for all of you. And our challenge is to balance the needs of everyone. The people who live there, the people who come there, the people who use it in a variety of different ways, whether they may live there for no fault of their own. And our challenge as law enforcement is to balance those needs of everyone. The police are not going to solve the social issues, nor do we pretend to. Well, we address behaviors that are important for the community, whichever community that is that we are serving. And for Colonel Summers, that's this community. That's you all. And what I'm happy to see is that diversity of people and diversity of thoughts, and from where you all come from, it's enlightening to me. And I've written some notes down. This is not, this is a different meeting. This is more of an environmental or an engineering type of meeting. I'm fully aware of that. So I've been largely quiet. At a different time or a different meeting, maybe a Buckman meeting, maybe that gets on the agenda, something like that, we have another discussion about policing and what you expect from your police. So I'm happy to, I'll stick around a little bit afterward, but probably outside where it's a little cooler.
Yeah, right on.